So a member of my microdosing community messaged me about how I deal with nighttime hunger. So in this video, I'll share what I do to solve that problem, so in case you're dealing with it too, you'll hopefully have a solution. I'm Nico, nutrition coach microdosing tirzepatide to help control my binge eating and to lose some vanity weight. So before I got on tirzepatide and would lose weight, nighttime hunger was a major problem for me because I would have trouble sleeping. And if I ended up falling asleep, I would wake up in the middle of the night starving, which ruined my sleep. After microdosing, I haven't dealt with this too much, sometimes on occasion, but it hasn't been a problem. But my solutions for it before were exactly the same now. So I'll be going over the biggest thing that helped me, which is eating a small solid meal before bed and what that means, the types of food that the meal is made up of, and some other small tips. If going to bed and waking up hungry is a problem, then the way I solve it is by eating food, because food makes me not hungry. I know it's obvious, but the obvious things are usually the answer. So I like to have a small solid meal before bed, and I'll break up each part and what that means. The first part is I have a small meal because too much food might make me bloated, and for me, I can't sleep while being bloated, mostly because it's uncomfortable and I wake up earlier than I want to because my stomach would hurt. Small is subjective and everyone's definition of it is different. To me, if I feel bloated after I eat the meal, then it wasn't small enough, or the types of food that I ate filled me up too much. I usually try to aim for hunger to go away and be satisfied, but also not be too full. Like if you ever had a nice satisfying dinner where the amount of food you ate was just right, like you don't feel too full and you're not hungry, and when you go to bed you feel like nice and cozy. I try to feel like that. Next is solid meal. I eat solid foods over liquids because solids take longer to digest compared to liquids, which means I won't wake up hungry. Also, I don't want to wake up to use the bathroom. The last part is before bed. What this means is that I eat an hour or two before I go to sleep, so it just kind of digests a little bit and it's just not sitting on top of my stomach. Again, everyone is different and what you eat affects how you digest the food, so I just say use your best judgment on when to eat your meal. It can range from anywhere to a few hours to like 10 minutes. So what do I usually eat that makes up the small solid meal before bed? This doesn't really matter, but I've noticed some foods and combinations of foods work better than others. First is carbs, so think like bread or fruits. Desserts maybe. I like a little sweet treat before bed sometimes, but not when I'm dealing with nighttime hunger. That's more so if I'm craving something and I have nothing else to eat. But yeah, having a bit of carbs does help me sleep. Now, ideally, I want to combine the carbs with protein and fiber because they help me keep me full for longer. So the carbs help me sleep and the protein and fiber help me stay asleep. I'll give you some ideas and examples of what a meal would look like. A whole grain sandwich with turkey and lettuce. I got carbs from the bread, protein from the turkey, and fiber from the lettuce and whole grain bread. Fruit with yogurt or cottage cheese. I got carbs and fiber from the fruit and protein from the yogurt or cottage cheese. A few years ago, my go-to bedtime snack was frozen blueberries and cottage cheese. I prefer fresh blueberries, but sometimes they can go bad and I just don't want to eat moldy blueberries. Another meal example would be a small salad like those single serving ones you can get at grocery stores, a boiled egg, and toast. There's a ton of options out there, just whatever gives you carbs, fiber, and protein to keep it simple. Now I'll go over a few other things. If you're worried about eating too much food for the day and going over calories, I would just shift my eating schedule. So I would eat less during the day when I'm not hungry and move that food towards the nighttime when I am. Next is prepare the meal beforehand. Like if I know nighttime hunger might be a problem, I'll have the food ready to eat when it comes up. Just like how we might prepare our lunch and dinner, I'll prepare my pre-bedtime meal or midnight snack, if you want to call it that. Because sometimes it's tough trying to put food together on the spot when it's the end of the day and I'm tired. Plus, if I already know what to eat, I can just eat it and get ready for bed instead of spending an hour thinking about what to eat and going to bed later than usual. Now, the next point is related. I gravitate towards easy and convenient foods, just things that don't need cooking or I can just heat up and eat. Things like leftovers. I don't heat up leftovers. I'm a weirdo and I like eating cold foods. Mostly because I'm lazy and I just don't want to heat it up. But you get the point. Food that requires minimal to no effort to prepare. And by the way, you can combine a bunch of these tips. I'll do whatever it takes to solve the nighttime hunger problem because going to bed hungry sucks and waking up hungry in the middle of the night because of it is even worse. Now, the next two things are just what I try to avoid because they can affect my sleep, but they're not really related to hunger. And I mentioned them briefly earlier, but I'll do it again. I try to avoid liquid calories because they digest fast and I might have to wake up and use the bathroom. This can also apply to non-liquid calories like water or something, mostly because waking up to use a bathroom just is annoying. A few years ago, I had a client who had this issue. She would wake up around like 2 to 3 times a night just to use the bathroom. And what we did to fix it was just to make sure she drank a lot of water during the day and just have little sips or no water before bed. This helped her sleep straight or at worst course, just wake up once a night, which is way better than 3. If I remember right, I think she went to bed at 11 and stopped drinking water at like 6 or 7, something like that. The last thing on the list is that I try to avoid heavy foods or meals because being bloated keeps me up and I can't sleep, but that's me and you might be good. All right, that's the video. If this helped you, I got more down in the link below. You can also ask me questions there if you want. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.